This is the News 4 Rundown.
And we begin tonight with new developments in that lawsuit to stop an ICE detention facility from moving forward outside Hagerstown. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jim Adley. This afternoon, a federal judge ordered a preliminary injunction limiting what kind of construction can be done at the massive warehouse in Williamsport. Our investigative reporter Tracy Wilkins has been covering the debate and was in Baltimore for today's developments.
Today, a federal judge ruled that the Attorney General of Maryland was correct and that there needs to be a preliminary injunction in place to stop the building of this ICE detention center in Washington County, Maryland. And there were a lot of people inside of the courthouse, but before they were inside, they were outside with protests and people who had gathered here to make it clear that they don't want to see this building built. This is a warehouse that could hold up to 1,500 people, but according to the federal government, they're trying to put in just about 500 people. And there have been a lot of questions about that. And there have been questions about environmental impact studies and questions about the outfitting of this building and the plumbing and water and the rest of it. These are questions that the judge had today for the federal government. And quite frankly, there weren't a lot of good answers from the federal government, which is part of the reason the judge said, let's continue communication between the state and the feds. Let's get a preliminary injunction in here. But let's also give the federal government an opportunity to protect this property by putting up fencing, putting up some lighting, protecting their investment. But the judge said, I'm not issuing you a back door to build a detention center, but what I am saying is that you have a right to protect your property. So we talked to a lot of the folks who were out here today about what this means for them and why they have been protesting since word first spread of the purchase of this detention center.
You can't just build one of these things without going through the necessary steps to make sure that you have done what the law requires. And the judge was really standing firm on that, and I'm relieved.
This judge gave a lot of thought to every aspect of this and had looked at a lot of court cases. It just made me feel like, there's something to be said for the judicial branch of our government. I liked it.
This is an issue for the whole state of Maryland and for the whole nation. And I'm a believing Christian, and I know Jesus taught us to love our neighbor and welcome the stranger.
So the next question is, how long is this preliminary injunction going to last? We won't know that until the judge issues his official ruling in writing, and we're expecting that to happen on Friday. In Baltimore, I'm Tracy Wilkins, News 4 I-Team.
Now, an attorney for DHS did say in court that no detainees would go into the facility until further reviews. Meanwhile, a DHS spokesman told News 4, we strongly disagree with the ruling, and let's be honest about what is happening. This isn't about the environment. It's about trying to stop President Trump from making America safe, end quote. Attorney General Anthony Brown called today's preliminary hearing an injunction a major victory that stops federal authorities from irreversibly damaging our waterways, our environment, and our communities before our lawsuit is even decided. And it ensures that the federal government cannot rush through the legal process required to open this facility, end quote. To the forecast now on a day that is feeling more like summer than spring. Doug Kammerer joins us now for more on the word if these warm days are going to stick with us. Doug?
It was a very warm day across our area. Record-breaking temperatures today. High temperatures of 90 degrees at the airport a little bit earlier today. Out there now, we've got some high clouds, but still a very warm night across the region temperature-wise. We're at 81, but look where we were earlier. It says 89, but we actually hit 90 degrees at the airport earlier today. 91 Hagerstown, 92 in Richmond, 86 in Ocean City. How about that? A great beach day. Temperatures right now sitting around 81 in D.C., but still 87 up towards Hagerstown and down towards Richmond. So it's still a very warm night tonight and not much in the way of any storminess. We've got some big storms up towards areas around Cleveland and parts of Pennsylvania. But for us, just a few clouds streaming on through, and that means warmer weather working its way through here as well. So a warm evening ahead. Record-breaking heat possible again tomorrow. The heat remains through the day on Saturday. Well above average temperatures through Saturday. And then big changes for Sunday. Well, what do I mean by that? Your full forecast coming up.
All right, we'll see you then, Doug. Thank you. Heartbreak tonight for the two families of two young boys killed in a shooting Tuesday afternoon in Northeast D.C. Investigators tell us that 14-year-old Tyale Coates died yesterday, and this morning we learned 12-year-old Milo Young died from his injuries. They were with a group of people, young people, gathered near a popular food truck at a convenience store parking lot on Kenilworth Avenue. Police tell us two people came up to the group and opened fire. The shooters have not been caught. News 4's Amy Cho brings us new details about the victims tonight.
Bullet holes in a car and dozens of shell casings on the ground. This was the aftermath when two shooters sprayed gunfire into a crowd of young people yesterday, killing two boys. The kids had been gathered around a food truck on Kenilworth Avenue Northeast, enjoying their spring break.
Anytime you have children who lose their lives at the other end of a gun, it's senseless.
Mayor Bowser says D.C. police believe the shooting was targeted. The victims were 12-year-old Milo Young and 14-year-old Tyale Coates. Tyale was a student at KIPP DC Valor Academy, where Milo had also previously attended. The school put out a statement saying, "We are deeply saddened by this loss, and our focus right now is on supporting their families, our students, and our staff during this incredibly difficult time." Several neighbors who live near the shooting scene didn't want to go on camera, but told News 4 they're tired of all the violence, especially when it's aimed at young people.
Now that's strange. That's very strange for somebody not to care about the children. The children should have been the number one priority here.
But they were the target.
Right. So I can't understand that. I really can't understand that.
These kids tell me all the time they can't even go to a summer youth program because they're scared to leave off of the property. They're concerned about getting killed.
D.C. police are now offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information that leads to an arrest.
And KIPP DC Valor Academy says it is making grief counseling available to any students or staff who might need it. One of the victims, Milo Young, belonged to a youth football team that put out a tribute to him today, saying he had energy, laughter, and potential, and that he was loved, and his impact reached far beyond what words can capture. The team says they are now planning to honor his legacy by showing love in everything that they do. Amy Cho, News 4.
A D.C. grand jury has indicted a Virginia man on new charges related to the pipe bombs found outside the DNC and RNC headquarters on the eve of the January 6th insurrection. Brian Cole is now federally charged with trying to use a weapon of mass destruction and an act of terrorism. He's already facing two other charges. Lawyers for Cole maintain he should be covered by President Trump's blanket pardon of January 6th defendants. In a statement to NBC News today, they said, in part, quote, "This means that the government now wants Brian Cole Jr., a black man, to go down in history as the only alleged accused January 6 related individual to serve not only a jail sentence, but to serve the rest of his life in prison." According to a poll out from the Washington Post, a majority of Virginians are now against data centers. And that sentiment seems to be growing. The Post-Shar School poll was conducted late last month. It involved 1,100 registered voters. 59% of the voters said they are uncomfortable with having data centers in their community. For context, 3 years ago, only 24% of voters said they were uncomfortable. The poll also zeroed in on Loudoun County, which is home to one of the largest concentrations of data centers in the world. 40% of the registered voters said those data centers have made life worse in their communities. Another 40% said there's been no difference. 19% said the data centers have made their lives better. Nationwide, 62% of Americans say the cost of data centers outweighs the benefits. That's according to a Marquette Law School poll conducted back in January. Tonight, News 4's Julie Carey takes us to a neighborhood in Sterling, Virginia, where residents are being warned about severe health impact from the center in their community.
Whether it's daytime or the dead of night, there is no such thing as peace and quiet in this Sterling neighborhood. Here's why. This Vantage data center is the only one in Virginia powered by gas turbines. It's hoped the facility will eventually be able to connect to Dominion electric lines. But for at least several more years, 8 turbines are whining away all day and night.
There was this constant, just like a buzzing in your head. And this is just not pleasant to listen to every day, all day.
When Lindsay Shaw learned a data center was going to be built nearby, she welcomed it. But that quickly changed for her and other neighbors when it went online. Greg Perio, who was traveling today, has organized the residents to make their concerns public.
One, sometimes it wakes me up. You can hear it in my house. When you go outside, it's just like you feel like you're cursed to have all this noise.
But now, on top of the noise, comes more troubling news. A study commissioned by the Piedmont Environmental Council warns of serious health consequences from the center's emissions.
It's associated with asthma and increased cardiovascular impacts on especially vulnerable populations and the elderly.
The analysis is based on Vantage's own permit with the state. It estimates roughly 3 to 6 more people could die each year due to the center's emission, that number climbing over a 5-year period. But Vantage officials say those levels mentioned in the permit are maximums, not necessarily what's happening day to day. They say they are operating in compliance with DEQ standards.
The permitting through VDEQ is designed to protect public health using conservative assumptions and safety margins and to make sure that facilities meet health-based air quality standards. And in practice, the VA2 facility operates well below those permitted limits and emits significantly less pollution.
The PUC hopes the report will serve as a red flag to other communities considering gas turbine-powered plants.
This could happen everywhere, and so if we're building data centers, it has to be done in a humane, a healthy way for communities and for the environment.
For now, Lindsay set up an air monitoring device on her front porch to check for herself.
We're slowly collecting data to see just how bad the air quality is.
As for the noise, Vantage says it is not exceeding county limits, but the company is doing sound studies right now to determine if there can be any sort of noise reduction.
We know that we are in accordance with the requirements around noise in the local county, but we're also conducting our own studies to really understand the impacts that the community feels and to make sure that we're investing in noise retention.
The company says once its study is complete, it'll report back in a town hall meeting with residents. In Sterling, Virginia, I'm Julie Carey, News 4.
Now, the current noise level measurements are below the county's violation limit, but that noise is constant. So Loudoun County has created a working group to review new ways of capturing the noise from turbines and determine if the ordinance needs to change. Still ahead in the News 4 Rundown tonight, scammers stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from them, but now local women are banding together to make sure no one else becomes a victim.
They said I was being accused of fraudulent money laundering.
The money's gone. I will never, ever see it. It's like lighting a match to cash.
How they're sharing their stories and educating neighbors about common tactics that could cost you big time. Doug?
Yeah, we saw record-breaking heat across the area today. All 3 airports coming in with record-high temperatures across the region. And with that, we're going to see another day of potentially record-breaking temperatures tomorrow. But after that, well, the heat can't stick around forever. We'll talk about when we see much cooler weather move back in my 10-day forecast.
Being the victim of a scam can make you feel vulnerable, even ashamed, and that can make victims reluctant to speak up or report what's happened to them. Well, 2 women from Montgomery County who were victims of a money scam are speaking out, sharing their stories, hoping to help others through an AARP Fraud Watch program. News 4's Darcy Spencer has their story.
These 2 women lost their savings, their retirement, after accepting a simple phone call that led them to draining their bank accounts and turning their hard-earned money over to scammers.
From me, they stole $25,600.
It was $595,958, and some sense.
Jane Dean thought Amazon was on the other end of the line, but it was a scammer. Over the course of 5 days, multiple call transfers, she was convinced she was sending cash to attorneys who would protect her money and social security number. She let go of her rainy day fund.
They don't want to give you time to think about it or respond to it in any other way than to have a heightened emotional response where your logical mind is just subsumed by the panic and the anxiety and the fear.
It finally came to an end when a bank manager told her, "You're being scammed." Then it all sunk in.
But the money's gone. I will never, ever see it. It's like lighting a match to cash.
For Judith Boivin, it started with a call from someone claiming to be the Rockville police chief. Over the course of months and involvement from those she truly believed were federal authorities, she turned over her retirement savings, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
They said I was being accused of fraudulent money laundering. And there was an active, I denied it, of course, and said that's ridiculous.
She's a retired nurse and social worker, and she believed by cooperating, she was helping to clear her name and catch those who were really using her personal information to commit crimes.
Of course, I grew up believing FBI, police, these are real people and they're doing good for society.
The women are now part of AARP's Fraud Watch Network, keeping seniors safe, fraud survivors support groups. They do presentations, advocate for strengthening anti-fraud laws, and tell their stories to anyone who will listen.
My advice to people out there is to stop. Stop, pause, think. Do not respond in a highly emotional state.
They have become close friends, united by their experiences and motivation to help save seniors from scammers. Darcy Spencer, News 4.
Such a great thing that they shared their stories. While Jane didn't recover any of her money, Judith was able to get back about $50,000. Well, a free bread basket at a restaurant is one of life's simple pleasures, right? Maybe you like the bread at Outback or Cheesecake Factory or Capitol Grill, but do you ever think about that bread and really contemplate who has the very best? Well, a writer at The Atlantic did a deep dive, an investigation of sorts, and determined that La Diplomat right here in D.C. has the best free bread in America. It is the cranberry walnut loaf, to be exact, and I can attest that it is indeed delicious. It comes from Bread Alley at Union Market. Doug joins us now, sizzling out there today. Going to be even warmer tomorrow, maybe?
I think so. I think, D.C. today hit 90 degrees. That was a record high temperature. I'm still going 92 during the day tomorrow. So, yeah, it gets a little hotter before we start to see things relax a little bit as far as the heat is concerned. Out there right now, though, a very nice evening. Look at these numbers. 81 degrees the current temperature. A little bit of humidity out there. That dew point, anytime it gets above 60, you can feel it, and you could definitely feel it across the region today. A little bit of a breeze, too. Winds out of the south at 11 miles per hour. That southerly component to the wind coming off the river towards the airport gives us 81, where other areas are still in the mid to upper 80s. 86 Gaithersburg, 88 right now Manassas, 89 in Fredericksburg, and 88 in Frederick. The only other areas that are a little bit cooler are those right along the water. Cambridge, Annapolis, down towards areas around the Tuxet River area earlier today, too. But we did set records at all three airports. Record warmth. Reagan coming in at 90 degrees today. The record was 89, set back in 1941. Dulles, 91 degrees. And BWI also at 91. So we beat all three records across the region today. And I do think we're going to be close to setting records, or at least tying records, during the day tomorrow. Nothing on the radar picture. We need the rain, but we don't have any rain in the forecast really until most likely Sunday. Now, this system back here producing a lot of severe weather, even tornadoes back in towards the parts of the middle of the country. This system will be moving our way. Now, out ahead of it, we stay very warm tomorrow, but then we start to see some showers try to work their way in tomorrow tomorrow night. So let's take you through the overnight hours tonight into early tomorrow morning, waking up to temperatures in the mid-60s here early on your Thursday morning. I mean, that's near our average high temperatures, but during the afternoon, we get into the low 90s during the afternoon, and that means we are going to see another very hot day on our Thursday. A little bit of humidity. Notice the shower activity trying to work its way in here overnight Thursday night into Friday, and maybe a sprinkle or two in the afternoon, but for the most part, we remain on the dry side. I think it's going to be a fantastic Friday. We're not talking 90s. We're talking low 80s on Friday. So gorgeous. 83 degrees is where I'm going on Friday. Now, Saturday, coming in with a high temperature of 86 degrees. Saturday looks great. If you're going to be out and about, no issues at all on Saturday. Completely different story for Sunday. 63 degrees, a chance for showers, especially early in the day. Much cooler and rather windy conditions, too. So we're going to see winds 20 to 30 miles an hour. It's going to feel a lot cooler. And look at these numbers. 58 for a high on Monday. Blustery, rather windy conditions here. 41 on Tuesday morning. That puts many of you in the suburbs in the 30s. So we do have a little bit of a cold snap coming our way before we warm back above average as we make our way in towards the middle of next week with a couple of chances for some more rain.
All right, thank you, Doug. Next on the News 4 Rundown tonight, a new look for the burgundy and gold. The Commanders unveil brand new uniforms for the team ahead of the upcoming season. Team insider JP Finley will join us live in the studio to talk about the new threads. All right, feel like we need a drum roll here. This was big news we've been waiting for Washington football fans as the Commanders reveal their brand new uniforms and helmets too. No shortage of opinions on the new look. Our team insider JP Finley joins us live in the studio for his take on the threads. You're hearing a lot of positivity.
Yeah, you know what's remarkable in our city and with this football team, rarely are most of the opinions on the positive side, right. But I'd say of the new uniforms that were rolled out, it's overwhelmingly positive. And what they did is they kind of rebranded the classic helmet. They went back to the true burgundy, put the stripes back on, put that gold face mask back on. And then, Jim, you've got the new guy here. They've got a new black helmet where they introduced the spear back to the helmet. I mean, that's a throwback to when Sonny Jurgensen was playing. Right. They played with the spear helmets in the 2002, 2003 seasons. Not only are fans really excited about this, but players are fired up about this. If you take a look, these are the new black Hailraiser uniforms. If you remember the black uniforms, the alternates they were wearing basically were just black and gold. It looked more like a Steelers uniform. Right. They've reincorporated the burgundy. These look really good, and the players are fired up.
Y'all did y'all pick on with these bad boys?
No way. Dude, that's it. Go back to the old ways.
This is a great way to do it.
Yeah. The white ones last year, I was like, I hope we got it for the pride man.
See, this color right here reminds me of who won Sean Taylor. The best.
Classic. Gotta love it. You know, you know.
Yeah, you could do a lot of swag with these, though. You got a lot of drip options coming with these.
I missed it so much.
Pretty cool to see the players react to this. You hear one player say, this reminds me of Sean Taylor. Of course, you know, the burgundy and the white jerseys that they're going to be wearing are the ones they used to wear. Exactly. So it's back to the future. It's getting back to the basics, but the basics are beautiful. If you grew up rooting for this team, you've lived here a long time, you know that's what the look was when they were winning Super Bowls. It's important to point out, you see that it says Commanders on the jersey the players are holding up. That's not going to, it's going to be the player's name there. But what I really like is the uniformity to it. The previous uniforms were all over the place. The colors didn't match. There were different fonts, different numbers. Now it's all back to that classic block numbers, block letters. I think it's just going to look clean. I think this is a big step in the right direction. And if you think about the NFL draft is next week, obviously that's going to impact football operations a little more. But these helmets, those jerseys, when they go back to RFK Stadium, Jim, and you wonder, you know, the spear being back here, you wonder. I talked to Commanders team president Mark Klaus. He said, we're on a journey. We'll see what else we can do over time. So pretty excited.
I love them. Yeah. And you had a jersey in here at 6. Who got it, Doug or Unt?
They were going to arm wrestle for it. So I'm not sure who got it, Doug or Unt.
Thanks, JP.
I might take Unt.
We'll see you on all ears. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jim.
We'll see you tonight on News 4 at 11. Have a great night, everybody.